Okay. Hi everybody, this is Joshua Kirk back with you once again on YouTube. And now it's time for episode 10 of Album of the Day, as I promised. Sorry that it took a while to figure it out once again. But now, finally the wait is over and I've finally figured out what to review. So now I'm going to do episode 10. Before I get into the review, I just wanted to thank all of you music lovers out there on YouTube for giving me nice comments and liking my reviews. Like, for example, my review on Ryan Adams' sixth album, Cold Roses, his first with the Cardinals. It got the most views and the most comments on it. So, really appreciate all that stuff. So I'm glad you're finally taking notice of my reviews. Just want to thank all of you for that. So aside from that, it's time to go into the review. Today I'm going to be talking about an artist that is a unique, talented, and amazing artist, I will tell you that. You probably heard of him at least once in your life. His name is Andrew Bird. He plays guitar, but his main instrument, along with all the other stuff he plays, is the violin. So the violin is like his main instrument. He's also a singer-songwriter, guitarist, and whistler. I'm a fan of this artist because of his work from 2005's The Mysterious Production of Eggs, 2007's Armchair Apocrypha, and 2009's Noble Beast. That's how much I love this guy's music. So I'm going to be reviewing his sixth album. The album is called Break It Yourself. This is released on March 6th, 2012. And the reason I wanted to review this is because I feel like out of all the albums I've heard from Andrew Bird, this one is probably his best effort yet, which may surprise a lot of fans, since I'm pretty sure pretty much most of you like Andrew Bird because of his older work. With his debut album, Music of Hair, and his other solo albums, and the band that he was in back in the day in the late 1990s and early 2000s called Andrew Bird's Bowl of Fire. But I've decided that this may be his best effort because I feel like this may be the most organic, the most interesting sounding, and probably the most emotional album that I think Andrew Bird has ever released. So here's the cover of it, spine, and the back. So here are the tracks on here: Desperation Breeds, Pollination, Danse Caribe, Give It Away, Eyeoneye, Lazy Projector, Near Death Experience, Behind the Barn, Lusitania, Orpheo Looks Back, Sifters, Fatal Shore, Hole in the Ocean Floor, and Bells. Really love the cover art on this. It's like very vintage artwork on here. Released on Mom Pop Records, that is Andrew Bird's current record label. This is like one of the first albums he's released on Mom Pop Records. He's probably left some other record label that he had for like his previous releases, and sort of moved to that in late 2011. So here's the inside of it. Like the thank yous in there. Here's another cool little picture in there. And then in there, there's the credits. So here's the booklet itself. It's a beautiful booklet with handwritten lyrics in it. just being quiet for a little bit, just taking my time to show you all the lyrics. And then here's the CD itself. Not much to it. So yeah, this album, I feel like is probably, once again, as I said, his most emotional, his most interesting, and definitely his best effort yet. It is just perfect. I will say, however, that there's one track on here that I wasn't that huge on, and that's the single "Give It Away." It's kind of like two songs put together that they both sound like they could be fun on their own, but they just put them together and doesn't really make much sense at all. But anyway, that's out of the way. I'm going to talk about the amazingness in this album. It opens with the song "Desperation Breeds," which is a beautifully done track, with some crazy things going on in it. Like, there are some drums in here that have sort of this Charlie Brown groove, kind of a floor tom groove to them. And then there's also like a very odd theremin-like violin solo, since Andrew Bird is basically using all these different pedals that just add a whole new flavor to his violin playing, in my opinion. And he's sort of going to a pretty dark place, since he's basically crooning "We Keep Breathing," "Desperation," stuff like that. And then there's like some weird intro at the beginning of it, of basically an intro for a film that Andrew Bird did called Norman. And my favorite song on here has to be the track "Danse Caribe." It's a really cool song. It's got sort of a tropical island flair to it at the beginning of it, with the acoustic guitar and the Hawaiian-like violin solo. But then eventually morphs up into this really awesome and very fun to dance to type groove. Got like an Irish jig feel to at the end of it. With an amazing violin solo on it too. The song "Eyeoneye" once again is pretty dark, and this is also a great song too, since it's got sort of a rock feel to it. I would certainly love to hear this song get played in the radio and like stores and all that a whole lot more than "Give It Away," because I got kind of sick of hearing "Give It Away" over and over again. Since this song I think is definitely a lot better. This song is sort of a pretty dark subject, which is pretty intense for such a young artist, since Andrew Bird is just in his 30s and right now. Like with the line, "No one can break your heart, so you break it yourself." "Lazy Projector" is probably the most emotional song on this album. It's a beautifully done track. It's got an intro almost kind of like "Desperation Breeds," and then it comes into this like very slow groove with some very emotional lyrics. It's about like breaking up from a relationship or something like that. It's a beautifully done song. And then probably the darkest and probably the most probably the most dark song on the album is the song "Near Death Experience." It's sort of a song that's just got a subject about like someone who is kind of I think Andrew Bird is kind of creating this character who's like been dead for like 10 minutes and then lived again. Which sounds pretty scrappy in a way, but it works. But they actually kind of made it work on here. I will say that my second favorite song on the album is an amazing song called Lusitania with St. Vincent in it, which makes me very happy because her voice really fit the song very well. Well, when she sings on the second verse of it, and then sort of harmonizes with Andrew Bird, their voices really fit together. So it's really a beautifully done track with beautifully done duet vocals on it. And then the song Orpheo Looks Back is also a pretty fun song. It's a pretty catchy, probably the most catchy and upbeat song on here. Not a whole lot to it, but it's like this very, very like dark Greek tale of like some guy or something like that. That's kind of hard to figure out, but the song is amazing, and it sort of gets more epic at the end, where like Andrew Bird is singing the first four lines again and again and again, and then singing over it, and then there's like some weird drum loop at the background at the ends, and like a mouth beatbox or something like that. So there's a lot of crazy things going on in this song that really fit the song very well and make it an amazing track. The track Sifters, there's not a whole lot to it. It's mostly like plucked out violin. That's most of what you hear on the song, although there is like prominent use of guitar on here too. But the lyrics are what really drive the song home for me. Like, there's some interesting things. He's sort of like, Andrew Bird is sort of making up this character who has a girl that he loves, and he's sort of pretending, think what would happen if they haven't been born at the same time. Like, what if you were 75 and I were 9? Would I come visit you, or bring you cookies in an old folks' home? That's sort of the interesting thing I'm getting from the lyrics. The song Fatal Shore kind of has a more alt-country feel to it. Even though I wouldn't get much of a folk or country feel out of the song, I would get more of like maybe a folk rock feel from this song. And it's sort of like there's this character imagining, I think, what would happen if him and a girl met on a fatal shore. And then towards the end of the album is the song Hole in the Ocean Floor, which is this really long 8-minute song. It's a great song. It's definitely as deep as the ocean floor itself, in my opinion. There's not a whole lot of lyrics to it. It's really more about the music than the lyrics themselves. But it's beautifully written still, with hearing God's creatures roaring again. And the album closes with a song called Bells, which is one of the 3 instrumental pieces on here. The other 2 are called Polynation and Behind the Barn, or Things Behind the Barn, whatever you want to call it. And these instrumental pieces really fit in well on this album. It's basically just to stir things up a little bit on the album. Since Polynation is basically nothing but some crazy violin groove going on in it. Things Behind the Barn kind of sounds more classical music kind of style, and Bells is basically just a very simple instrumental piece with basically nothing but like the sound of some bells ringing with hardly any violin in it. So overall, I think the album is great. If you love Mr. Bird's earlier work, you are gonna go nuts for this album, because it is just well done, well produced, and it definitely does remind me of the very early days of Andrew Bird, back when he started out with like Music of Hair and then moved on to doing music with this sort of short-lived band called Bowl of Fire. So my favorite song on here is Danse Caribe. Other favorites on here include Lusitania, Eyeoneye, Lazy Projector. Yeah, just trying to think my favorites. Sifters, Orpheo Looks Back, Desperation Breeds, and Hole in the Ocean Floor. Those are my favorite songs on here. I'm gonna give this album an 8 out of 10. 10, because it's literally that good. Definitely highly recommended. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for episode 10 of Album of the Day. Stay tuned for episode 11, which I'm not sure what it'll be yet, so we'll just wait and see. But stay tuned for that, won't you?